All right, Nate, I want to show you next step for the Magster here is making the transition from handling on land into water. So this video is going to be kind of like the earlier video where I am showing you this at the beginning of the process. The reason I'm doing that is because Maggie is not going to be done 2 weeks from now. And really, handling drills, like stuff like this, lasts like the dog's entire life. It's never done. There's always new concepts that we're trying to teach the dog, and I want to show you the beginning of the process so you can understand kind of how to extrapolate that to where you're going to be doing this, um, so that you can kind of put some of those pieces together and continue to add to it. Really, the concept here is that we are trying to teach. Maggie is a very good student. She's compliant. She works with you. She very rarely, just gives you the double middle fingers and is like, "I'm doing my own thing." She is a dog who is very, very happy to learn. So that's you kind of got to keep that in mind. That she likes this, and she wants to work with you. So when you're thinking about doing the transition from doing land stuff to water stuff, um, when we're doing water stuff, we have to get solid on land first. The reason why is, of course, when we're working in the water, if the dog has a problem, the term is often, when we talk about this in dog training, we use the term break it down. Break it down means to take the concept that if the dog gets something wrong, we simplify it. And the way that you simplify it on land is you simply walk out there with the dog, right? So if you're trying to get the dog to run 100 yards and the dog gets out there and gets confused and doesn't understand which way you're trying to redirect her, which she does that quite nicely now. But if she doesn't understand which way you're trying to direct her, you simply walk out there with the dog and cast the dog which way you want it to go. You can see how she immediately reacts to any movement that we have. She's going to respond to that. The problem is in the water, it's not very easy to do that unless you're going to be getting in the water, which you can do, although it's not necessarily very practical. So we want on the land to be really, really good before we move to the water. Now, this process as a whole is called swim by. And you probably saw that in those videos that I sent you. And if you do some reading on retriever training, there's a lot of discussion about swim by. Swim by is simply a kind of a generic term that means teaching the dog to handle in the water, being able to swim by some other object or swim by a bumper or swim by something, doing kind of the T drills and doing wagon wheel in the water. Swim by something. That's where the term comes from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of show you how I set this up for her. I honestly don't do a lot of this. I have a handful of dogs that I train this far, um, and really um, it's something that, like, you could continue to do this. Like I said, the dog's whole life, you continue to do these water drills. So the idea is the perfect swim by pond is actually a man-made pond that's about, say, belly deep or so, and a nice rectangle, and with a nice steep slope. What you want is literally basically a strip pit that's about, maybe 50 yards by, well, not even 50 yards, 50 yards by 75 yards or something like that. A rectangular pond that's relatively easy to get a hold of. And the idea is you'd want to be able to put her, to have the dog run the bucket drills, whether we're doing a T or whether we're doing pattern blinds or whatever. But you're doing it in opposite sides going through the water. Same drills, exact same concepts, but going through the water. Okay, so this is the little pond right here behind the house. It actually will work quite nicely for doing some swim by introduction. This is going to be introduction to swim by. This is not the full blown process. If you were to work with someone who is actually a good retriever trainer, they would have a pond dedicated just for swim by work. It's like the most if you do this a lot, you make your own swim by pond, because you do this so much. So if you're doing this on your own, you kind of got to think a little bit about a pond you can use. You want it to be small because you want to keep it simple. So my pond is nice and small and works well for that. And it has, we'll have, where we're here started, they'll have a bank over here on the left. We kind of have some grass and some bank out here to in front of us to the north. And then we have over to the right, it's going to have to be water. Generally, we don't want to do this where the bumpers land in the water because they'll move. What works better is if you have a pond and you set the bumpers up on, north, south, east, and west of the pond. By the way, conveniently for this particular video, we are facing directly north. So that's kind of using that as a reference here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of set up some of this with the water. And I'm going to explain some of the things that I am doing with Maggie and some of the things to watch for and how to help her. The good news is, like I said, Maggie is a great student. She loves to learn. And when you get her back in July, this is exactly what you should be working on. Her stuff on land is fine. Like she'll get out there and she'll keep going on land. What she needs to work on is working in the water. Um, and getting to do this in July is great because of course the enemy of all of these this drill work is the heat. But when you're doing swim by, doesn't matter because the dog is going to be in the water. Now obviously you don't want to do it when it's 100 degrees. The dog will get hot, but you're going to be hot too. But like right now it's kind of cooled off in the evening. Where we are, I'm kind of in the shade, so it's not too bad. So let me show you how we get this started. Okay, now first off, what I'm going to do, I've just got some regular bumpers. Um, you know, these are what we call flashers. I want to show you this. You can use a lot of different things, but this one is designed so that it's black and white with a lot of contrast. So the idea is it shows up easily, especially on the water and when it's in the air. A lot of times dogs will struggle. You'll see them struggle on the water. Like right here where we have a blue sky and we have dark vegetation, you've got a real change from light to dark. And so it's easy for a dog to lose an object, even in the daylight. They'll still lose an object out there. So having something that has high visibility, either bright white or flashers like this that alternate back and forth is a good idea. Or even sometimes I do this with Dawkins. Like they look bigger. The big duck-sized Dawkins are a good thing to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply throw a couple of bumpers out here. I'm going to throw one, nope, heel. We're going to make sure she's going to sit. And we're going to do this with me throwing them. Nope, here, here. I'm talking, so Maggie thinks she was going to go there. Heel, sit. I should also note with Maggie here, I'm doing this with no e-collar on because she responds so well just to voice. She doesn't need the pressure of the e-collar. Um, I haven't had a circumstance where I really wanted to give her an e-collar correction yet because in terms of this, and I especially don't want to do that in the water when we're starting these introductions. There's actually drills for that called de-cheating, and we'll talk about that. So I've got one over here at the west pile. I'm going to throw one over here on the east. Sit. And then we're going to take one and we're going to throw it straight north. Sit. And I'm going to throw another one straight north. Maggie. Yep, that's good. It's okay. Maggie. Okay, now she just looked at the one over here on the east. No! No! Back! Here! No, here! Here! Good. So here's an example where she wanted to go right. I don't want her to go right. I want her to go all the way back. Okay, so if the dog does that, where she's going to turn and not swim by it, just give her another one. Maggie! I'm going to try to stop talking here a little bit so I'm not distracting her. All right, so that's what I mean when I say teaching the dog. She's very good at this. Like she took their cue, just no, here, and I called her back in. Here! Here! Good. Now, one of the things you want to think about when you're doing swim by stuff like this, when you're introducing this water, okay, when she gets that bumper in her mouth, we want to be on the whistle, tweet, tweet, tweet here. We do not want her running around the bank. When we're doing swim by work, we want straight out, straight back, nice straight lines. That's the idea. Good. Here, good girl. And if she drops a bumper at the edge of the water, I'm not going to fuss her for that. That's okay, as long as she hands it to me. And now, send her on back. Back! Hey! Hey! Over. I wanted to get her to look at me there. So she kind of auto cast over to the right, probably because I did that one earlier. That's fine. Good girl! So when she was in the water there, she was thinking, I'm going to go right, but I wanted to get her attention. I wanted her to work with me. I wanted her to take a cast to be able to go over there to the right. Now, as we go through this process, I want her to be able to take that cast and sit still, or at least whistle sit in the water, meaning sit still. Here. Good. Back. So on this one, I want her to swim all the way through. So she is going to swim by the bird on the bumper on the west, and swim by where the bumper was on the east. Atta girl, Maggie! And I'm stepping here to the east side because to the east side is all water. I do not want her thinking about going west very much. I can pretty much guarantee when she goes west on this next one, she's going to run the bank on the way back. We're not gonna fight that yet. But on that back pile, good. Here, fetch here, baby. Good. Good. Okay. Heel. Okay, I want her to start going straight north. Back! Maggie! Good. Oh. No. 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 Here. Over. Good. Good girl. Now she's going to have to hunt this one a little bit. But that's okay. And this is an example where she needs some help. Back. Back. Just going to walk over here with her. Help her understand the spot. And there she's about on it. Good. That's the first time she's seen that far left bumper like that. Again, trying to show you the beginning of this so you know what it's going to look like when you're getting started on this. Sit. Yeah. So we're going to throw this one right back in the exact same spot. She just saw that. So now she's like, oh, is that where I'm supposed to go? But I want her to start going straight north, straight lines. Maggie! You might also notice that after I throw the bumper and she sees the bumper fall, I am saying her name to send her because technically that is a mark. Now, a lot of times when we throw a bumper like that, a lot of times when we throw a bumper like that, the term that we use for it is called discover the pile, meaning I'm telling her, I want you to go out. I want you to go to the deep one or to the far one. Good. Now, this is going to be tricky because it looks like she drugged the second one halfway in here, so I'm going to have her pick this one up. It's basically standing on the pitcher's mound of our little baseball field here. By the way, when you do this, you're going to get wet. The dog gets in and out of the water a bunch. Back! Just prepare to get wet. It's also a good idea to make sure if you're doing this, make sure your bumpers don't have any holes in them. They may be floating in the water for a few minutes. You don't want them to sink. It's also a good idea if you can do this when you don't have a lot of wind. That will keep them from blowing so far on you if you have to put the bumpers in the water. Good. Sit. Maggie. All right, so now I've got 2 more out here. So what I'm going to do on this time is we're going to send her for the far bumper. And then on the next one, we're going to send her on back. We're going to attempt to stop her and change her direction and go to the west. She did kind of a rough time with it the first time, so we're going to redo that west bumper over there. It's been sitting over there now for a few minutes after she's ran kind of this back pile, if you will, half a dozen times. And so let's see if she remembers where that bumper is. As a general rule, if you throw it, like if you throw one to like rediscover to get her to go that way, you don't want to stop her. I would never want to stop the dog after they had just seen it being thrown. First off, she's going to blow you off and not do it. Back! Hey! No! Over. No! 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 Here! There's a case where we should have had the e-collar on to be able to stop her from that one. Here. Now, since she wasn't sitting beside me at this one, let's see if we can get her to go on back and stop her. Back. Maggie! Hey! Over. No! Over. Okay. So that time she didn't see me throw it. So this time, what we're going to do, if you have this situation, again, I'm leaving these mistakes in here so that you can see them. If you have this situation where the dog is totally confused and doesn't stop, well, then what we're going to do on this next one is we're going to send her on back without a bumper in the back. So there's nothing to go back there to reward her. This would be what we would a lot of times call in dog training using low pressure and attrition rather than pushing the dog. So we're going to sit. Good. Back. Good. Over. Over. Good. There we go. Good girl. All right. Right here, sweetie. Good girl. Okay. Sit. Let's do one more to the right. Let's go one more. Far out. Maggie. No. No. Back. No. Back. Good. Okay, right there. That was a case of what I would call reading the dog. So she was looking there like, hey, I'm going to go over here to the right because there's this one over here to the right. And we gave her a no. Good. Right here. Good. Now, again, I'm fudging myself back over here to the east side, trying to keep her in the water. I want her making nice straight lines. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and send her to the back pile again, even though there's no bumper there. And we're going to try to cast her over here to the right. She's starting to pant a little bit heavy. Not bad. And she's already thinking about that one to the right. So we're going to try to straighten her up here. Good. I want to move that foot. There you go. Good. Back. Back. No. Here. Good. She's thinking about that one to the right. She's all in on that one to the right. See how her head's moving? Those little she's talking to me saying, I want to go to the right. I want to go to the right. I want to go to the right. Because she knows that one's over there. She saw it fall. No. Good. Back. We got her to go in nice and straight. Hey. Hey. Over. Good. She gave me a look there. So we can go ahead and cast her off to the east side. That's all right. Girl, here. All right. Now we got one more bumper laying over here on the west side. This will be the tricky one. We may have to help on this one. So we'll see if I can get her to go in the water nice and straight again. Here. And see if we can get her to go to the west. All right. One more time, baby. See how she's swinging her head around? Like, where am I going, boss? Where am I going? Right there. No? Good. Back! Over. Good! Good! I'm walking way over, way exaggerating. We're going to get her back up on that bank. She'll get her bumper. Okay. So, this is a pretty good look at how we start this handling work in the water. I suspect, we're going to get a lot better at this in the next 2 weeks. This is going to be our focus, doing these little drills in the water. But when you get her back and you start doing stuff in the water, it's going to look a lot like this session, where it's going to be something new. It's a new setup, a new place. Generally, when you start at a new spot, it's 10 days, 2 weeks of trying to get good and get comfortable with that spot. But since she's a good girl, we give her a fun one to end on. So I wanted you to see this video of her looking not perfect, and really seeing the introductory level, because like I said, there's years of training work ahead of you if you want to do it. The good news is Maggie is a good student. She's a talented dog. You can keep going on this stuff for forever, man. But she's a nice dog, and she's having a good time. I mean, like, gets a little bit repetitive, and she hit the water like a freight train every time. That's what you want to see.